What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. I wanted to do a quick little update for you guys today simply because Nancy Pelosi came out and gave us a little bit of an update as to what we can expect as far as stimulus. She actually gave us an indication as when we could see the House vote on this. Now, this is big because up until today, we've only heard from House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer regarding when the House may vote. He said initially, he alluded to the fact that we could see the vote happen sometime next week, probably as early as Tuesday. That was what was on his calendar. Now, I just wanted to reiterate, Nancy Pelosi did come out and state that we should see this very soon. We're going to start to see details on this bill very soon. Now, we are expecting to see this week. However, based off of what Nancy Pelosi has stated, we might not see this stimulus package or the particular bill coming from the House. We might not see this until early next week, possibly Monday or even Tuesday. So earlier today, Nancy Pelosi stated that the House plans on voting on this $1.9 trillion stimulus package or the budget reconciliation bill. They plan on voting on this later next week. Now, this is a little bit of an issue, and here's the reason why. It's an issue because we were expecting to see this as early as Tuesday. But Nancy Pelosi says that things ultimately came up, that we will have to wait because there's still more things to get ready before this bill actually gets voted on. So that's the bad news. But Nancy Pelosi did say that at the same time, there is communication with the Senate as to what the Byrd rule will allow in the bills as we go forward. Now, I just want to state that the Byrd rule, this is where, just simply put, I'll just be very blunt, this bill, everything inside this budget reconciliation has to pertain to the federal budget. If it doesn't, for whatever reason, the Senate parliamentarian can say, no, this doesn't work, we have to pull this out. If she says this, all she's pretty much doing is telling the House chair, hey, this doesn't work, it's not going to pass. But it's pretty much just a rule, it's not a law. So the House chair can pretty much just forget what she says and move on, and the House can ultimately overrule what the Senate parliamentarian, actually the Senate chair, can overrule what the Senate parliamentarian has to say. So that becomes a bigger issue because now Joe Manchin, who ultimately said, I will not vote to move forward on something that the Senate parliamentarian does not agree with and says is not part of the Byrd rule. So because of that, there's a whole host of other issues. Not only that, we have multiple people that want different things changed in this bill. This bill, again, which is so bizarre, this bill has been talked about, has been proposed for a little while. But now, all of a sudden, people have new proposals, new amendments, new changes, and they want to see these done as quickly as possible. For instance, Chuck Schumer, he wants to see relief for students and for restaurants. Well, he's been talking about relief for students as far as student loan forgiveness for over a year, and we haven't seen anything on that front. But he's proposed different things. He's proposed up to $50,000. But President Biden says no, $50,000 will not work because $10,000 would be adequate if it goes to the right people, but we cannot put too much money into student loan forgiveness because we can spend that money elsewhere that would provide a bigger bang for our buck. And that is according to Janet Yellen. We also have Joe Manchin, a senator out of West Virginia. He wants to see stimulus checks that are more targeted to the specific people that truly need the money. This is going to be an issue because we have progressives that are fighting for the exact opposite. Let's give stimulus checks to every single American and make sure that we keep our promise. Because right now we know Democrats are looking at over the aisle and thinking, you know what? Former President Donald Trump might rerun again, and if he does, and if we screw up, then Republicans could not only win back the House and the Senate in this upcoming midterm election, but if a Republican president jumps in 4 years, we could be screwed. So that's what we're hearing. We also know Kirsten Sinema, the Senate Democrat out of Arizona, she wants to get rid of the $15 federal minimum wage increase. But at the same time, this is something that the Senate parliamentarian is going to know probably within the next 2 weeks whether or not this will work. So we're going to have answers on that front very soon as well. And when I say very soon, I'm talking about within a couple weeks. So it's not that quick. And then we have a whole host of progressives that want to see additional unemployment benefits go from $400 to $600 per week. And then on top of that, $2,000 in stimulus payments, because that's what was promised. Well, I can tell you right now, $2,000 for stimulus checks is not going to happen. I wish it would. I think it would help out a lot of people, and especially the people in the South that are being affected by this whole issue of the winter storm. Honestly, they're going to need some more help. They're going to need a lot more help. We might need to see more money in this infrastructure bill that's coming up following the $1.9 trillion stimulus package. We might need to see even more funding for people in the South. I think it's needed, but we'll see what happens there. Now, out of all the things that I've just said, here's the most likely outcome. The most likely outcome is actually coming from Chuck Schumer, Senate Majority Leader. Okay? And he wants student loan forgiveness of $50,000, up to $50,000, and he wants relief for restaurants. What I can see is the $25 billion for restaurants, I can see that being included, and that wouldn't be that big of an issue. I think he could get Republicans on board with that. That right there could be a bipartisan issue. We could see bipartisan support. But then when you include the $50,000 for student loan forgiveness, that's going to be a hard thing for Republicans to agree on. It's going to be a hard thing for Democrats to agree on as well. And it's one of the things that President Biden has already said, that's not going to happen. We won't see $50,000. We could potentially see up to $10,000, and that could get some support from other Democrats, possibly some support from Republicans, depending on what Chuck Schumer would give to Mitch McConnell in return. But again, it's one of those things that we will most likely see happen when we see the infrastructure bill actually get negotiated. So, the two problems right now the only problem right now are these two changes, is that they could delay stimulus for the American people. Some experts, as of right now, as of this morning, one expert asked, is getting $10,000 for students worth risking millions and millions of Americans not getting their unemployment check for a week or possibly two? Chuck Schumer, he might believe so. But others say that student loan forgiveness should not be taken up in this COVID relief package. This $1.9 trillion stimulus package should be just for relief. Should be for the vaccine, should be for stimulus checks and things like that. We can address the up to $10,000 in student loan forgiveness when we talk about the infrastructure bill. And experts also say that is going to be the perfect time to discuss the $15 federal minimum wage. Honestly, I personally thought we would see the $15 federal minimum wage increase in the infrastructure bill anyway. So when President Biden proposed his $1.9 trillion package, I thought that was a bold move. I thought that was odd that he put it in this early, but he did, and it was probably because of pressure from other Democrats, specifically Bernie Sanders. So we'll see what happens there. But right now what we know is Nancy Pelosi is pushing to get this done. She wants to see this done as quickly as possible. She really has nothing to gain by waiting. Republicans, they do. They could potentially gain a little bit by waiting, because we could see some pieces of this legislation ultimately get cut or get dropped in the actual amount because it's not needed or not necessary. So because of that, Republicans have more to gain than Democrats at this time for waiting. But Republicans have no power, so there's really no point to be waiting. So that is what we know right now regarding the stimulus updates. Currently, the stock market is struggling. I think Republicans are going to be pushing for some additional help there. We will see what happens. Again, it's all going to come down to the infrastructure bill. But all of that won't even be negotiated until after this $1.9 trillion stimulus package gets negotiated and then passed. And some expect we are still at least a few weeks away. Based on everything we're hearing, based on Nancy Pelosi pushing back the time that they may vote by possibly 2 to 3 days, my expectation is we're not going to see this pass in the House until possibly the end of next week, which is exactly what Nancy Pelosi said. So I know it's a no-brainer. It's not really my expectation. That's what she said. But as far as what happens in the Senate, it probably will not be voted on in the Senate till the end of not just next week, which is not even next week. So it would start to be negotiated, talked about, possibly debated the first week of March, which means it might pass by the 5th of March. But my expectation is we don't see it actually pass until maybe the 8th or 9th of March, and then finally see it go to President Biden's desk, probably get a signature within the 10th, 11th, or 12th of March. So it's just going to be right before the entire unemployment benefits expire. But that's what we're hearing right now. So again, as we know more, I promise I'll share more. Just wanted to share this update with you guys, keep you informed of what we are currently hearing out of Congress. So if you have any questions regarding any of this, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.